Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and thank you so much for checking out this video. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free extra greetings at the start of these videos. Now, in today's guide, we're jumping into the Gunbreaker, and this is my Endwalker controller guide. The way this is set up is that I've got set up macros here for you in the comments. You can go check out that and copy and paste them into this game so that way you can easily apply my entire layout for you. And then obviously I want to encourage you to make whatever changes feel the most accurate for you, make the most comfort for you. But having tested this and played this, I can tell you this feels very comfortable for me, and that's why I'm making it my initial recommendation. But I want you to make it your own. This shouldn't be anything that you feel like you can't change. Also, just note that here on the channel, I have all these different controller guides. You can check the playlist if you're looking for any of the other controller guides. Sometimes YouTube doesn't recommend them, so if you guys feel like it earns it, hitting that like button, subscribing, even letting the video play out, if you're only here just for the macros, getting that watch time will end up helping these videos out in the algorithm and help search. But if you're missing anything and you can't find it in the playlist, you can always ask me in the comments. You can check us out on Discord and so much more. Now, I'm not here to waste your time. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to make sure that this is chaptered out here in the video so you can easily jump to whatever section interests you the most. But what we're going to first do, because I don't know if this is my first video with you, I'm going to get you set up on the controller, what you need to do and what you need to know. I do have a full detailed complete controller guide for you that goes through all the settings and so much more if you really want to take your controller play to the next level, but this should hopefully give you a good starting point. Feel free to again skip over this chapter if you've seen any of my previous guides, as this information is pretty standard across all of them. But again, if you're brand new to the channel, I want to make sure that I'm not confusing you with various different terms and setups. Now, first and foremost, you're going to find all of this under character configuration and system config. Today, we're going to actually start with system config, and then we're going to go into the controller setup right here. Obviously, I've got controller enabled. If you have more than one controller hooked up to your system, you'll actually see this into the device. And if you are on PC, you'll have the ability to switch between like Xbox or PlayStation icons within this regards. That's how you set that up. I also essentially have set up within my button configuration. On my right click here, I have it set to execute macro 99. This will come into play and I'll show you what that means here in a bit. I also move my jump and map buttons, but that's not going to be important for the rest of this guide. That's just a personal preference, but you can change how your system is set up and what your buttons do through the system config there. Then under character configuration, here is where you can toggle between gamepad mode and keyboard and mouse. Even a keyboard and mouse, your controller will still work. You'll be able to use it regardless. It's just a whole different UI setup for you as well. So if you end up wanting to kind of bounce between the two as you kind of learn the controller, note this will actually help you out. So that way you can have different settings for your cameras and more, whether you're using controller or keyboard or mouse. So you're not going to have to sit here and worry about too many problems with that. Now, first and foremost, I use legacy type movement. This means that when I move the camera, like if I just move this out of the way, when I move in whatever direction, I will move in whatever direction. If you're more traditional MMO, if you want to back up and walk and strafe, then you can pick standard type. My preference in this case is legacy type movement. A big thing comes down into targeting. Endwalker added a beautiful thing, enable auto target and auto target according to priority, either the closest range or line of sight. I highly recommend this. This is a really great feature for especially some of the abilities, and so it helps reduce a lot of stress on me. The biggest thing I want to bring you guys to is filters. Whenever my weapon is out, by pressing down on the left stick, you can actually just switch between sheath and weapon drawn mode. Enemies in this case will only things be targeted, enemies aggroing and duty specific. I recommend this as your weapon drawn, so that way you're not having to hit any other targets. You can easily focus in on that. However, when my weapon is sheathed, I have alliance members, other enemies, etc., non-party PCs. I have way more things turned on when my weapon's put away. You can also, again, have more custom filters by holding down the left bumper and any of the face buttons, A, B, X, Y, square, triangle, circle, etc. That's going to be how you can actually have additional filters if you want that extra functionality. But in this case, custom and enemies really kind of gives me most of what I need. To kind of highlight this here in the game, this just means that when my weapon's out, I'm going to here focus in on enemies. Now, the reason why I turn party members off on both cases is because up and down on the D-pad, without the left and right trigger actually displayed, will toggle between my party members. So it's an easy way to target party members and an easy way to target enemies. Now, as a tank, if I'm holding down left trigger or right trigger, pressing left bumper and right bumper will actually allow me to cycle through the enemies without having to worry about it. So I can actually be focused in on damage mode and change my target by pressing the right bumper, left bumper. If you're on Steam Deck, if you're on a controller that has back paddles, this also does the same level of functionality. So it makes it very comfortable to change target. The other way that you can do this is like if I have two enemies targeted here, I'm gonna go ahead and hit these guys up. Now I've got an enemy list here on the left hand side. Holding down left bumper and hitting up and down as opposed to party members will cycle through anybody who's on your enemy list, thus kind of granting you the ability to have a little bit more of a focused kind of target. So note that is going to be very important for you, especially as a tank. All right, so that's filters. That's what I want to cover there. I want to jump into hotbar settings specifically. I have display hotbar numbers turned off. If you turn that on, you'll get this option. I have hide unassigned slots. If I turn this off, you'll see all these little floating bars out here. I like to keep my UI as clean as possible, so I set that right there as well. Under sharing, 7 and 8 are shared for the cross hotbar. You can always toggle between all of your hotbars by holding down R1 and pressing any of the face buttons. I have 7 and 8 shared, so all the jobs that I play, all the classes will have those same setups. But in this case, everything else through 1 through 5 is going to be job and class specific. You can feel free to make this however you want, but that's just something I want to point out. I also play in hold mode. This is my recommendation to all you, but if you're having hand dexterity issues, always you can try toggle mixed. You will lose out on like the expanded cross hotbar, which is kind of critical to this guide, but ultimately find what works and is most comfortable for you. I also have always display the W cross hotbar, return to W to the cross hotbar after W cross hotbar input. In this case, like using No Mercy automatically puts me right back here so I can rotate. And then I have it where I am not positioning it separately, but you can choose to do so, whatever ends up making the most comfort for you in your play style and have a clean UI. So again, you have a lot of options here. Finally, I want to point out, enable the expanded controls. That's RT plus LT and LT plus RT. This is going to link me to hotbar 2 left. So here's where I would get that, but LT and RT and LT, giving me a different set of abilities and skills. And then finally, enable W cross hotbar input by simultaneously pressing left trigger or the right trigger. This allows me to link to cross hotbar 3 left and right. Now, if you notice, like you will not be able to drag skills onto the cross hotbar. You have to actually go into the linked hotbar to make that change. So if I wanted that there, you can see here I can kind of move that and drag that and drop. If you're ever curious, if you're on like PlayStation, you don't have access to keyboard and mouse, then what you want to do is actually hold down the L bumper and then right R3, click. This will turn your mouse into a virtual mouse, so the right stick becomes that, and then the left trigger and right trigger will actually act as the left and right click, so you can actually kind of drag and drop things as you need without the need of a keyboard and mouse. So I'll just leave it up to you, and then to exit that is left bumper and then R3 to exit out, and then your right stick becomes your camera again. As a pro tip, holding down the left bumper and using up and down on the right stick will allow you to zoom in and out of your character and camera, so it gives you a lot of ability to kind of control the movement and the flow of it. But that's setting up your controller. I think now it's time we jump into our skill overview so we all are on the same page, and then we'll talk about how I bring all of this together. All right, so now let's go ahead and go through all the skills 1 through 90 for the Gunbreaker. This should help give you guys the best understanding of what all these abilities do. But after this, if you have any questions, sound off in the comments. I'll be happy to help. Now, I do want to point you to the role and the trait section, namely the role section, especially for you young tanks out there. Rampart, Reprisal, Arm's Length, and Provoke. These are, I think, really key essential abilities to your toolkit. Now, as you get into more of the harder content, Shirk, Low Blow absolutely are going to come into play. Now, I do have focus videos on tanking, and you might want to check those out if you want more detailed about when ultimately to use these. But for anybody coming over from another MMO and you're checking out this video because you want to play on controller, A, you're awesome, but B, Arm's Length, where you see slow 20%, that's not their movement speed slow, that's their attack speed slow. So it makes all their attacks slower, which basically is a damage mitigation. If you see something like heavy is a movement speed slow in this game. So there's a little bit of a translation there for you as well. But we're going to go through these skills, and just note that these are all adjusted to level 90. Some of these skills upgrade, and you can all check your traits if you ever kind of want to see how that evolves. So just note you're looking at somebody who's level 90 on this case. If there are big changes in the future, note that I'll be putting out updated guides. I also do the patch notes regarding that, so you might catch the patch notes if it's a small update, but if it's something massive that really changes how the job plays, I'll either refresh this guide itself or we'll do a focus guide on that here in the future. So if you haven't subscribed already and you're already here in this video, it would help me out a lot. It's a really great way to help this channel continue to grow. So anyhow, Keen Edge, level 1, potency of 170. This is going to be your base attack. Things will combo off of that, like Brutal Shell. No Mercy. It's got a 60-second recast, instant cast time. This means it's an off the global cooldown. This is a great ability that you can weave in as a part of your rotation, and being that it's 60 seconds from the recast and will last 20 seconds, ultimately that means there's only 40 seconds where you're not getting that additional damage boost. So honestly, I would just get in the habit of using New Mercy. As you level up and get closer to 90, you're going to obviously find windows where your abilities all line up so you can maximize that 20%. But at the start of it, especially as you're leveling, get into the mode of using this ability, and then you're going to start to kind of find those moments where it makes more sense than others. But we'll cover that more in focus guides if needed. Brutal Shell, this is going to potency combo off of Keen Edge, so you get that 260, but if you don't combo, you're going to have this base 120 damage, so obviously taking a part of the combo is going to be preferred. This will also restore your own HP with a cure potency of 200, and will create a barrier around yourself equaling that of the HP restored, so you get a little bit of heal, a little bit of shield, and you're good to go. Camouflage will actually increase your parry rate by 50% while reducing your damage taken by 10, so it's another excellent damage mitigation. Then you have Demon Slice. This is going to open up your first AoE opener, where Keen Edge is your single target opener. Demon Slice is going to be your AoE opener. Delivers an attack with a potency of 100 to all nearby enemies. So you can see here with 2 enemies, that's 200, and then essentially here with Keen Edge, it's 170. So you can see here, any kind of enemies out there, you want to be able to hit them with Demon Slice. Royal Guard is your, hey, focus in on me, bad guys, kind of stance. If you turn this off, you'll see your healers and your DPS running for the hills because you won't be able to keep the enemy's focus on you. So keep this on if you want to have the enemy focus on you as their primary target. Then you have Lightning Shot. This is a ranged ability with a potency of 150 and will increase the enmity that you have. Basically, this is a great thing to open off with pulling. Now, later you're going to get Rough Divide. This will close the gap, but this will still increase your enmity, your hate, essentially. I haven't really found situations where this is as critical, but ultimately it is definitely something good, especially early on in the levels. I'll let it be up to you whether you want to pull with Lightning Shot. I like to pull with Lightning Shot, followed it right up by Rough Divide. So I like to kind of combo those together. And you'll see in my placement section in the next section how I have those staged right next to each other to make it much more easy to jump into. Danger Zone, level 18. It's got a recast time of 30 seconds, meaning this is off the global cooldown, so you can weave it in every twice a minute in this case with a potency of 250. Then you've got Solid Barrel. This combos off a Brutal Shell right here. Brutal Shell is going to the Solid Barrel combo is 340. Otherwise, you just get that base 120 potency, and we'll add a cartridge to your powder gauge. This is going to be a big mechanic for the Gunbreakers, and this is going to be the first thing that starts to introduce it at 26, allowing you at level 30 to start using them. Delivers a potency with attack of 380 with Burst Strike, grants Ready to Blast, and that will last 10 seconds. The effect Ready to Blast will end upon any weapon skill, so if you do not follow this up, you will end up not being able to take advantage of that, and you won't be able to for a little bit, but we'll get to that in a second. Then you got Nebula at level 38 with a recast time of 2 minutes. This is a 2-minute, 30% damage reduction, so don't sleep on Nebula. This is a great way of keeping yourself alive. Then you've got Demon Slaughter. This is going to be your AoE combo, building off of Demon Slice. It will deliver a potency with 100, but if you combo it, you get that 160 potency, and it will add a cartridge to your power gauge as well. So this is going to be something really good for you. Then at level 45, you get Aurora. This will grant regen to your target with a cure potency of 200 and will last 18 seconds. As you level up, eventually we'll unlock 2 charges, and that charge time is 60 seconds. So you can apply it to yourself or to somebody else in the party to help continue to reduce a little bit of that damage, you know, heal a little bit, take a little pressure off your healers or your red mage. Then you got Super Bold. This is your give your healer a heart attack ability, especially if you're full life. This is going to reduce your HP to 1 and will render you impervious to most attacks. So if things are going south, this is a great ability to save your life and keep the party up while the healer is able to get you recovered. Then at level 54, you learn Sonic Break. This is a single target potency of 300. It's got a damage over time effect of a potency of 60, and that will last for 30 seconds. You can see here the recast time on this is just under a minute, so you can keep applying this as a part of your rotation, especially for a single target. There is an AoE version, but they do not share the same recast timer, which is great, so you can actually have both Bow Shock and Sonic Break on at the same time. Then at level 56, you get Rough Divide, delivers a jumping attack with a potency of 150. Again, same 150 here, but does not have that hate increase that comes with the lightning shot itself. So note that that is something that I like to combo again to close gaps. Then here at level 60, you get Gnashing Fang. This delivers an attack with a potency of 380. It will grant Ready to Rip, and that will last for 10 seconds. If you use any other thing, it will cancel out of the weapon skill effect of the combos here. It will cost 1 cartridge, and it does have a recast time here of just under 30 seconds. So this is going to be something real critical to your rotation, but we'll get into that more into the next section. Then, like I already kind of previously covered a little bit, Bow Shock. This is an AoE potency of 150 to all nearby enemies, adding in a 15-second potency over time of 60 to all the targets within. This is really good, especially just continue to put out that damage as part of your AoE, and it's 60-second recast time. So you can see how these are very closely related as a part of Sonic Break and Bow Shock. So you'll see that I usually position them very closely together to one another. Then I've got Heart of Light. This reduces magic damage, magic being the key word here, to self and party members by 10%. So this is a group-wide AoE. You do not have to target anybody, but with Heart of Stone you do. You have to target somebody or yourself, and this will essentially add a 15% damage reduction for 7 seconds. But if you're under the effect of Brutal Shell and you toss this over to somebody else, it will also grant them the effect of Brutal Shell, aka that shield. Then at level 70 you got Continuation. This allows the firing of successive rounds with your Gunblade. Gnashing Fang will be followed by Jugular Rip. Savage Claw will be followed by Abdomen Tear. Wicked Talon may be followed by Eye Gouge, and Burst Strike may be followed by Hyper Velocity. Then at level 72, Fated Circle delivers an attack with a potency of 290 to all nearby enemies. Obviously you can see here this is going to use 1 cartridge, and it's got the most powerful impact when it comes to your AoE attack there. Then at level 76, you get Bloodfest. This will fill your power gauge. So up to 3 cartridges, and it's got a 90-second recast time. So especially if you're low on cartridges and you want to jump into a damage burst window, if you got this up, I would highly recommend keeping this off cooldown. This is going to get you those extra cartridges and actually ultimately output more damage. Blast Zone actually gets upgraded here at level 80 to Blasting Zone. So our Danger Zone gets upgraded with a potency of 700. So a big hitting level 80 ability. Then Heart of Stone gets updated to Heart of Conundrum. This actually increases its timing here of the initial effect from 7 seconds to 8 seconds. Still has that Brutal Shell effect applied if you target it to somebody else. It will grant Clarity of Conundrum to target of the Clarity of Conundrum effect. Reduces damage taken by 15% for 4 seconds. The additional effect will also grant Karthus of Conundrum. Will also restore your HP when HP falls below 50%. Or upon the effect duration, it will last 20 seconds with a cure potency of 900. So this becomes both a mitigation and a big heal for you every 25 seconds. So be sure to not be sleeping on this ability. Your level 90 skill here is Double Down. Delivers an attack with a potency to all nearby enemies with a potency of 1200 for the first enemy and 20% less for all remaining enemies. This will cost 2 cartridges. This does not share a recast timer with any other action. Now here in the level 60s and 70s, these are a part of that continuation and a part of your combo here. So here you've got level 60 Savage Claw. This delivers an attack with a potency of 460, and it will combo into Gnashing Fang. Will grant Ready to Tear. Then you got Wicked Talon. This delivers a potency of 540, and it will combo action with Savage Claw, and it grants Ready to Gouge. Then you have Jugular Rip. This delivers an potency with 200, can only be executed when under Ready to Rip. Abdomen Tear delivers an attack with a potency of 240, can only be executed while under Ready to Tear. Then you have Eye Gouge. This delivers an attack with a potency of 280, and it can only be executed while under Ready to Gouge. And then finally 86, Hyper Velocity. That delivers an attack with a potency of 180, can only be executed when under Ready to Blast. Now, let's go ahead and put these all together and walk you guys through my layout and talk about essentially kind of how you set up your skills and your abilities. All right, so now let's go ahead and go over the skills and how I have them placed. Here you can see here on the left-hand side, right-hand side, they're all set up. Again, pointing you guys to those macros to make this an instant, easy setup for you. So that way you don't have to sit here and pause the video. However, I am working on a website to hopefully have some of these guides written up. Pay attention to the Discord, Twitter, and stuff like that for more of that information. But forgive me, I'm going to go through this as I normally do. Again, if you have any questions, let me know and we can kind of go from there. But to kind of try to and give you the details, that's Camouflage, Limit Break. I have a max potion for whenever I'm doing deep dungeon and things like that. Arm's Length, cannot tell you how much I love this ability. Heart of Light, and then I have Heart of Stone, aka Heart of Conundrum, and No Mercy. The reason is I like to be able to pop into these things, get them to do what they need, and then I'm right back into my standard rotation in this regards. Now here on the left hand side, starting from the furthest left, Double Down, Nebula, Blasting Zone, aka Danger Zone, and then Aurora. So this is really great as a part of my rotation. You can think here the left hand side is my AoE side, my right hand side is my single target. Some abilities are obviously on both. Here you see Demon Slice into Demon Slaughter, so that's a combo there. Bow Shock, like to be able to keep that up, and then Fated Circle, so a nice round AoE damage, and then I can easily press the right trigger in this mode, and now I'm on my expanded, but I'll review that here with you guys in a second. On the right hand side, single target mode, Engage, Keen Edge, followed by Brutal Shell, and then Solid Barrel, and then Burst Strike. I can easily double tap into Continuation here, or I can hold the left trigger and then jump into Gnashing Fang and Continuation, as well as some other abilities, but we'll cover that more in detail. So that is essentially where, when I think about being able to move, that's how I like to have it placed. Then Danger Zone, which upgraded to Blasting Zone, Bow Shock, and Sonic Break. Being that Sonic Break and Bow Shock are the damage over time and also share a similar recast time, one is the off the global cooldown and one is not. I like to be able to put those on the target at the same time. And then I have Double Down, again my level 90 ability. Now over here on the double tap right side, you see another No Mercy, you see a Bloodfest, then you see Rampart and Continuation, followed by Camouflage, Arm's Length, Shirk, and Interject in the up down X and ABXY as well. So this allows me, as a part of my combos, I can jump into, put on No Mercy, I can get myself a full stack of this. If I want to, I can jump into my Double Down, follow this up with Continuation and Burst Strike, and then go back into my main rotation. So it gives me a lot of very comfortable burst when it comes to my damage. Now let's jump into the final part, the expanded crosshotbar left and right. Here you see Royal Guard. This is Tank Stance. This is my oh no, oh my gosh, I'm about to die moment. Again, Bloodfest to be able to easily access on the holding down the right trigger if I need to, rather than double tap over here. Provoke. Then I've got Lightning Shot and Rough Divide. As I remember, Lightning Shot is going to be your hate builder, but then Rough Divide allows you to close the gap. So I like to be able to pull that and then follow this up with this one. So you can see here both have a 20 on range, thus giving you the ability to pull with the hate, close the gap, get right into it. Reprisal, awesome, reduces damage by nearby enemies that are outputting right there. And then Low Blow is my stun, if there's an ability that I need to stun, or if I just want to reduce their damage. It's off the global cooldown, so it's not really hurting me if I want to weave that into any of that. Then here on the right hand side, I've got Rough Divide, again lightning. The reason is I don't have to worry about whether I'm a single target or an AoE target. I want these abilities always to be accessible. But then over here I got Bow Shock, I've got Reprisal, Shirk, and another Double Down. In case what I like to do as a part of a Gnashing Fang, I like to be able to in here, and I'll show that here just in a second in terms of how I like to manage that. Continuation and Gnashing Fang as just a combo to be able to move and use this on the move is very important for me. So I really enjoy how that is played out. So to kind of highlight that, now that Bloodfest is off a global cooldown, if I want to jump in here and do whatever, I can actually start this up and start going from here. Plus, and obviously if I have No Mercy on, that's just going to help overall. Do these combos, follow it up, and finish it off with Double Down. And so then I can go right in here, still weaving in my gap closer, all within this 20-second burst window of No Mercy. So it gives me a huge amount of, honestly, it's a lot of fun. I really, really freaking enjoy how the Gunbreaker plays, especially here in Endwalker. But now, I think we've covered the layout, we've covered the macros, we've covered the skills. So like, I don't want to make this guide longer than it needs to be. But last but not least, we'll go into HUD and then also talk about how my glamour that I'm currently rocking in this video. Over here, I've got my minimap turned off, Alliance 1 and 2, experience bar at the top, target bar up here. That way I can always see what's going on. I have my status enhancements over here, my food buffs and things like that, other things like that listed there. Party list is here, especially as a healer. You can always change it up if you want, and you have multiple different layouts that you can use and to play around with. So if you are playing different roles, this could be a help. If you're playing PvP and PvE and you want different changes, you have that as well. I have a hotbar floating here just to kind of communicate various cooldowns to me so I don't miss those windows. Then here I have my parameter bar. I've got hotbar 3, which is currently not being used. My power gauge here, progress bar, status enfeeblements. Then I've got my double cross hotbar all right there, followed by action help and enemy list behind it, and a focus target bar down here in the corner. Now off screen, I have my quest list. I have my chat log and things like that because I actually get to play an ultra wide, which is truly incredible. I'm very lucky to have that as an option when playing Final Fantasy 14. So that's my HUD. If you guys want more detail, I do have a focused HUD guide here on the channel as well. So again, check the playlist for more Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker guides, things like that, just to make your job and life easier when playing. But last but not least, let's talk about my character. Nothing too fancy in terms of glamour. You can see here I've got a level 89, 90 weapons and some pieces of gear. Like in this case, the level 580 headpiece. I've got my Gunbreaker level 90 main body. My level 90 hands from 580 for there. 590 in this case for my pants, my pantaloons. And then my long boots in this case for the base level 90 Gunbreaker. Then over here on the right hand side, I just have a lot of the level 90 accessories, a lot of 580 stuff as well. And as you're watching this, and note that at some point in the future, gear score and all that's going to be going up, so I'll be playing around with more looks and things like that here in the future on the channel. But that's it. That's the guide. Hopefully you got something good out of it. I really hope that you did. If you hung out the entire time, let me know in the comments. It's a great way of helping the algorithm out. And I appreciate each and every one of you just for being here and just for being you. Again, my name is Brian. I'm here to help you in your Final Fantasy 14 journey, or even Final Fantasy 11. Honestly, I just love freaking Final Fantasy. So that's how it goes. But yeah, you can check those out and these videos out here on this channel. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with a clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.